We've talked about the cell. Cell is the smallest living thing alive. You guys took notes over the cell, but I just want to talk about all the different organelles. So an organelle is pretty much a small organ in a cell. It's just like the organs, they are just like the organs in your body. They have specialized functions that helps the cell stay alive. So we'll start out first with the nucleus. There's the nucleus right there in the center. The nucleus controls all the cell's functions. The most important thing the cell does is to make proteins. Your body is full of proteins, and the nucleus has the instructions, which are your DNA, for making all the proteins in your body. The nucleus doesn't have a specific structure because it's made up of a lot of different things. It has a nuclear envelope on the outside of it. The nuclear envelope is in charge of allowing some things to go in and out. This is going to be a double membrane, and it has little pores inside of it, and the pores will allow those instructions and different proteins and things like that to leave the nucleus. In the center of the nucleus is the nucleolus. The nucleolus is in charge of making ribosomes. Your nucleolus, and we'll get into this a little bit more when we get into DNA, your nucleolus is made up of protein and what is called RNA. And this nucleolus is very, very important because it makes these small structures, and you can't really see them there. They're called ribosomes. So the nucleus, like I said, it's in the center of the nucleus, and it's going to make these ribosomes, which the ribosomes are very small, and they're not in this, they're not shown. They are attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, but they also are free. I think a person has about 10 million ribosomes in their body, and they're all made from the nucleolus. Now, why ribosomes are so important and why you have 10 million of them in your body is because ribosomes create proteins. That's what the whole entire point of the cell is trying to do, is to create these proteins. And this little itty bitty thing that's on the endoplasmic reticulum, you can see those dots. They are there to make the proteins. Now, I said that the cell, it's the most important job is to make these proteins. So after these ribosomes have made the proteins, it goes to what is called the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is membrane bound, but it's made up of these canals, and you can see these canals and sacs and vesicles. And the reason they're made up of those canals and things is because its main job is going to be to transport different things through the cell, especially those proteins that the ribosomes have made. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum is going to transport these around the cell or to get ready to be secreted. Now, you have two different types of endoplasmic reticulums. You have a rough, and they call it rough because those ribosomes are on the outside. And then you have the smooth. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, they have the same name, but they also have different jobs. It just kind of depends on where it's at in the cell. So it can store lipid and create lipids and hormones, and it can also break down those lipid-soluble toxins if they're in the liver cells. So they both are the endoplasmic reticulum, but they have different jobs. Now let's recap. You have the nucleolus that is producing the ribosomes, and it got the instructions from the nucleus. The ribosomes have the super important job of producing the proteins. The proteins are going to go to the rough endoplasmic reticulum for transport. But you also have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum that's producing the lipids and some of those different, like steroids. So now we need to take the protein to the Golgi Apparatus. The Golgi Apparatus is going to package these proteins up and modify them for wherever they need to go, if they need to be used in the inside of the cell, or if they need to be taken out. But the Golgi Apparatus is made up of these, it's a membrane bound, but they're sacs, and they're just kind of pushed together. And you can remember it's packaging because it's made up of membrane bound sacs. So the endoplasmic reticulum is there for transport, and the Golgi Apparatus is going to package up those proteins for us. So now you also have other organelles that don't have to do with the protein synthesis. You have the powerhouse of the cell, which is a mitochondria. It's a membrane-bound organelle also, but it does have, and we'll talk more about this when we get into cellular respiration, it has an inside and it's folded to increase the surface area. But like I said, the main job of the mitochondria is to provide your cell with energy. So you would see a lot of mitochondria in some of your larger muscles because your muscles need more energy. So you would find more mitochondria in places you need more energy, such as like the brain, the muscles, and things like that. Then you also have to have what's going to clean up your cell, and that's going to be your lysosomes. And you also have what are called peroxisomes. Now they both are in charge of breaking down and cleaning up your cell. But lysosomes can operate in areas that have not very much oxygen, but peroxisomes have to be in areas where there is a lot of oxygen. So they just kind of, like I said, they clean up, but what they do, they're going to break down some of those like lipids and things like that, and then clean them up and take them for excretion. Then we have what is called your cytoskeleton. Your cytoskeleton is made up of microfilaments and microtubules. The job of the cytoskeleton is to maintain the shape of your cell and the cell membrane, but it also helps the organelles inside of it move around. Now you don't see it here, but you could have cilia or flagella on the outside of a cell, and those are in charge of movement, but they are also made up of your cytoskeleton, the microfilaments and microtubules. And you can see around here, those are the microfilaments, and these are going to be your microtubules that help things move around on the inside. And then we have what is called a vacuole. In animal cells, they're pretty small. They're there for storage, especially different types of water and electrolytes and things like that. In a plant cell, which we're not talking about today, you have a large vacuole that holds in all the water. And then you have the last thing is the cytosol. This is it's kind of a jelly-like fluid that contains all of your organelles. Now the cytosol is just the fluid, but if you talk about the cytosol and all of the different organelles, we call that the cytoplasm.